This is Dr. Anthony Kane from the Complete Connection Parenting Program with another parenting tip for you today. Today we're going to discuss how to instill moral behavior in your children. Now I want to point out that as your job as a parent is to set the moral tone, the moral standards of your household and to teach your children to adhere to those standards. That's a job. I'm not going to discuss how you choose those standards. That's a personal decision. But once you must have those standards first of all, and second of all, once you have them, you've got to know how to teach your children these standards. And to show you how to do this, I'm going to draw upon a study that was done a number of years ago. This study was done by a researcher named Jonathan Freeman. And what he did was this. I'll explain the study first and say what it means for you. He wanted to test how you teach right and wrong to children. And he chose a group of boys. I think the groups were 20 and 20, two groups of boys with about 20 children each. And this is the study he did. He brought the boys individually into a room and told the children in the room there was a bunch of toys they could play with. He said he had to go out. He can play with any toy they want in the room, but there's one toy they can't play with. There was a very, very exciting electronic robot, or battery-operated robot, which by far was the most interesting toy in the room. And he said, and the first group he told the boys, look, you're not allowed to play with the robot. Anything else you can play with. If you play with the robot, you're going to get a severe punishment for that. You're just not allowed to touch that robot. And they went out of the room. And as expected, almost, I think maybe one boy touched the robot and everyone else listened. The second group, he told almost the same thing. Second group of 20 boys he said the same thing. He said, look, don't touch the robot. But he didn't say, because I'm going to punish. He just said, don't touch the robot because it's wrong to play with the robot. That's all he said. He didn't threaten punishment, didn't give rewards for it, and he also left the room. And again, about 19 out of 20 boys did not touch the robot. Now what's interesting is what happened about 6 weeks later. In a apparently unrelated test, he sent a researcher there to give these boys a drawing test, I think it was. A woman boys had never met. It was no apparent relation to Freeman at all. And the woman gave the boys a drawing test, and she said, I'm going to grade the test right now, so please go in the other room, and you can play with any toy you want in the room while I'm grading the test. And in the toys, there was a plastic something or other, a baseball glove, a little ball, and there was this robot. Now the question is, what did the boys do with this robot? And what happened after 6 weeks? Now again, there was no threat of punishment here. This was all you had was the actual robot here. The boys who were threatened, if you get a punishment, of those boys, the majority, I think almost 80%, played with the robot. But the boys who were just told don't do it because it's wrong, there was no threat, they just did don't do it because it's wrong, of those boys, only a third of those boys play with the robot. Half as many boys. Meaning, when they're threatened with punishment for not doing something, when the threat of punishment was gone, there was no reason to continue the behavior. But when they were told it was just wrong and no punishment was given, these boys, a large percentage of them, incorporated the behavior, the concept that doing this is wrong, and incorporated it into their view of the world. They took responsibility and took that moral value in themselves. This is what this means for you. You've got a child, you don't want the child to lie, don't want the child to steal. If you say, if I catch you lying, I'm going to give you a severe punishment. Or if I catch you stealing, I'm going to spank you. You give a real threat. What's going to happen is your child, when there's no threat of being caught, he is not going to incorporate that lying and stealing is the wrong thing to do. But if you say, Brad, Cindy, stealing is wrong. Please don't do stealing. Or lying is wrong. I'll be very unhappy if you lie. What happens is, since there's no serious threat, the child will still listen to you and will incorporate that behavior into himself and make it his own moral view. What happens, the explanation is this. When you give a punishment, the focus is on the punishment. When you just say, please don't do it because it's wrong, the focus is on it's wrong, and the child incorporates that concept of right and wrong into his daily life and view of the world. This is one of the reasons why rewards and punishments, as they're currently used, are not very effective. We will discuss how you use words properly in the future, but they're not very useful the way it is as a reward. If you give a reward or punishment for compliance to a paper, what you're doing is getting the child to focus on the reward and punishment and not to incorporate a moral view of the world into his view of the world. Again, so what you want to do is just say it's right and wrong, do the minimum amount of reward punishment to get the child to listen, and let him own the behavior and take the behavior himself. This is Dr. Anthony Kane from the Complete Connection Parenting Program. If you'd like more parenting tips like these, please come to our website at ccparenting.com and sign up for our free newsletter.